Hello and welcome. We're here today to talk about the Purpose Power Index Wave 3. I'm Chip Walker, Head of Strategy at StrawberryFrog.
And I'm Gary Laben, CEO of Dynata. Without further ado, I'd like to toss it right back to Chip. We've got lots of information to discuss, and let's get going.
So let's talk first a little bit about what is the Purpose Power Index. The way we describe it is that's the first empirically proven method to measure purpose. It's a study of the US public. This is the third wave that we've done. We did one wave in 2019 before the pandemic, one during the pandemic, and then we just completed field work in April as we hopefully are emerging from the pandemic. It's a study, as I said, of the US public, about 5,500 respondents each wave that we've done. And we've looked at over 200 brands representing 15 plus industries. So what is the Purpose Power Index? It's basically 4 simple questions that we developed together with 3 years ago with the Reputation Institute, which is a very well-known research company that studies reputation globally. We validated 4 questions that help us understand, does this company have a purpose that's bigger than just making money? Does it do things to improve people's lives? Does it help make society better? And does it actually help make the world better? And the PPI algorithm requires strong agreement on at least 3 of these 4 elements. And then we score companies, all 200 plus companies, on a scale to 100, 1 to 100, and then we rank them. So today we're going to be looking at the rankings of the top leaders. I'm going to show you here a slide that shows you all 100 of our top purpose brands for 2022. You can peruse this at your leisure. It's a little bit of an eye chart, but what we're going to do for the next 3 minutes is look at some of the trends among the top 20 and then the total top 100. So some of the themes and trends that we saw emerging that are new in 2022. If I had to summarize what's new in 2022, I'd say let's go back a couple of years and first look at 2019. We see that the first year that we did the study, small sort of social good brands dominated. These were sort of a bit more niche players, brands like 7th Generation, Tom's Shoes, Allbirds, Etsy. These are often sort of purpose-born brands that people associated with kind of doing good in the world, which is great. But once we got into the pandemic, what we saw was that a much expanded list of brands emerged. Several of them that were relevant to the pandemic, like Clorox and some pharmaceutical brands. But the list expanded to more represent corporate America in general. And what we see today in 2022 is that our list of top 20 brands really has gone completely mainstream. I mean, this list represents corporate America at large. It's diverse. 16 of the top 20 brands are very large brands. So we don't see the smaller niche players as much anymore. $1 billion in revenue or more. Several of them are tens and $20 billion revenue or more. And 10 of the top 20 are new, which just sort of shows you that this purpose metric is a rather dynamic one. So let's look at what some of these players represent in terms of themes. So first and foremost, we see that the pandemic continues to impact our list. We see that Pfizer is a huge purpose success story, if you will. They were near the bottom of the list 2 years ago. They were in the middle of the list last year. And this year, I believe they're number 16 on our list. So their work in developing a vaccine has just brought them to near the top of the list. Same thing with Roche, which developed diagnostic kits that many people are using. Peloton helped keep us fit during the pandemic. Zoom kept us connected, and Airbnb sort of helped people live and work almost anywhere. So pandemic heroes were important. Automotive made a huge surge in 2022. And this really has to do, I think, with the advent of electric cars. Tesla was high on the list last year, and it stayed high on the list at number 9. Toyota zoomed up from number 52 to number 18. They've been a pioneer in electric. But Ford and GM also moved way up the list with news coming out from Mary Barra, et cetera, about their work in the EV race. Elon Musk made news in 2021 PPI when 2 of his brands were in the top 10. Tesla, as I said, at number 9, but SpaceX, for the first year we studied it, came in at number 3 in our total list of over 200 brands last year. This year, it plummeted down to 61. And our hypothesis is that maybe people are starting to realize that SpaceX isn't the next NASA, but rather, more of a commercial enterprise like many others. And it has to make us wonder with Elon Musk saying that he may take over Twitter. Twitter is one of the lowest rated purpose brands. It's almost an anti-purpose brand in our study at number 209. You have to wonder, is that a great idea? I guess only time will tell. Corporate social activism, that was a huge theme among the different players on our list. What we saw is that corporate social activism caught the attention of our respondents, but it both inspired some and it also polarized some. If we look here, we see in the purple on the right that brands like Google, Target, Disney, and Ben & Jerry's were credited with doing a lot of activism, and they scored high on our list. You see Disney involved in things like the Don't Say Gay bill. It didn't seem to hurt their purpose perception, yet other brands like Apple, the NBA, and Nike scored much lower on our list and were also credited with a lot of activism. And you see this news article about Nike taking heat over its ad campaign. So there's more to reveal in our study about the effects of activism and how to do it right. But let's just say, at the very least, as I said, it both inspires and polarizes at the same time. So that's a little bit about our top 20 and our top 100. I'd like to now turn it over to Gary to talk a little bit about a couple of other aspects of the Purpose Power Index.
Thanks, Chip. Really appreciate it. Now that we've reviewed how our respondents think about the brands themselves, let's just turn our focus for just a minute to think about how employees think about their own company's purpose. Perhaps unsurprisingly, upper management thinks they're doing a far better job in building a company with purpose than really the rest of the firm. Some of that's probably likely due to the fact that senior management is probably more aware of all of the initiatives and all the actions that a particular company is taking, whereas maybe the balance of the company may have less exposure there. But I think the other important point here is really that employees may feel that certain initiatives or efforts taken to generate a purpose-driven culture may fall short or maybe aren't even as impactful to them. One of the more important pieces of data that any company leader can take from this presentation, I think, is that the fact that purpose-driven businesses have a strong correlation to engagement. And strong engagement, as we all know, leads to a longer employee tenure. And this is a really very important point during the Great Resignation. But it's worth noting that while there's still a strong correlation, the strength of this particular sentiment wanes, as you can see from this graphic, the deeper into the organization we go from upper management to the junior staff. And if we look at various measures of purpose, such as the motivation to work at the firm, or whether the firm delivers a personal impact, or maybe even whether the firm's higher purpose is differentiating from maybe some other brands out there, management still appears really far more positively affected by their company's purpose. So why is that? Well, I think there are three reasons for that, and they're clarity, communication, and activation, each of which plays an important role in a particular cohort's connection to its company's purpose. And if you understand what the company's purpose is, and if you believe that that purpose is actively and authentically communicated, and that your firm is walking that talk, then you're really more connected to it. And as you can see by the data here, upper management indexes far higher on each of these elements compared to the lower organizational levels. And really that means that there needs to be more clarity, more communication, and more walking of that talk among the lower ranking employees. We also asked about gender equality and whether employees believe that their firm promotes it. And well, as in some of the previous graphics you've seen, the percentage of agreement among those who believe that their firm's championing of gender equality, that declined the deeper we went into the organization. Furthermore, the yellow line suggests rather strongly that the strength of this belief was highest when the percentage of females in the cohort was lowest. That is, well, males believed that there is gender equality. And at the other end, where there is a higher proportion of females, the strength in the belief of gender equality was at its lowest, suggesting, frankly, that there's much more work to be done to get to parity here. Now, all of this data produces terrific insights, but if those insights aren't put into action, well, they're just orphaned ideas. And so for a brand, purpose matters when consumers take action in consideration of that purpose. A brand needs to create initiatives to identify and connect with consumers who are aligned to a particular brand's purpose. One of the unique features about Dynata's overall offering is that in addition to our tools to create the insights that we've generated and that we're discussing here today, we've also created a further set of capabilities to help brands reach and to communicate with audiences. And in this case, those that are aligned with the brand's purpose. For this particular study, we identified 149 million US consumers who've indicated their willingness to boycott a brand on its particular socioeconomic stance. Further, we identified 85 million consumers who'll make purchases based on a brand's purpose. Using the power of machine learning-based analytics, we can scale audiences and reach them directly from our panelists. For example, as you can see in the graphic, we're able to identify and reach 95 million, 65 million, and 50 million individuals within the financial services, healthcare, and technology sectors, respectively, who say that they'll select brands based on that brand's higher purpose. I hope you found this information helpful and that you're able to take advantage of this information for your own brand. On behalf of Chip and myself, I'd like to thank you very much for your time, and we welcome you to reach out to us directly for any questions that you might have.